Alright, today we'll be understanding the concept of data share. So entire architecture diagram will implement end to end, but before diving into the architecture diagram, let's understand the theory aspect of it. So data share, as the name suggests, data share, that is, we'll be sharing data. And the important thing is that data is shared securely, even within the internal organization, or we can say external to our organization or the company we are working for. So here from the domain name, you can even make it out that let's say I'm from Cloud Guru Amit domain, and this is from another company, data scientist. So we can do it, and data is secure, and we can even audit it, who has access to data and when. So that is the important or one of the features of data share. So diagrammatically, if you look, let's say I'm the data engineer, I have the data on my storage blob container. I can share the data to the data scientist. There are many data sources available. We'll be showing in the hands-on in a while, but let's first understand that what is the concept. Let's say I have the data, and the data needs to be analyzed by the data scientist for any kind of machine learning or Python based forecasting, regression, those kind of thing. So we can share the data with other data scientists. So it somewhat works similar to the kind of, if you could correlate with SharePoint or something, right? Or even in the Excel or Word, nowadays the share button is there where we can mention who can just access our file. So that is the overall concept of data share. Now let's go back to the architecture diagram. Now let's begin this in the hands-on. Now here in the Azure portal, we need to type data share, and here we got the data share. Let's click on it, and here we need to create data share. So we'll be creating everything from the scratch end to end. Let's click this button, create data share. Now we need to mention the resource group name where our data share will reside. So let's select one resource group. I'll select my location. Geographically, my location for data share will be East US. Let's give one name for our data share. So once done, we can move to tags. If we have multiple environment, we can mention the key value pairs. For R, we don't have anything, and it's not mandatory, even the star mark is not there, so we can leave it out for the simplicity. We'll go to review and create. Let's click on create. So the data share will take some time to for the deployment to complete. So let's wait till the deployment gets completed. All right, our data share deployment got completed. Now let's go to the resource now. So here we got two things. Here if we select data share, we have send share, received share. So we can send our shares, we can receive our shares. Both are just the opposite. If you want to share with others or receive with others, so we can see these things. So let's see what it got. Here I haven't sent any kind of shares, so that's why it's showing nothing. And here again in the received as well, I got nothing. So since as per the architecture diagram previously I mentioned that I need to share my data with the data scientist. If I go here, this is me as a data engineer. I want to share my data with the data scientist so that data scientist can do some analysis. So let's share our data with them. So let's click on create. So here we need to give the share name. Let's give a name. Next we can share type, what it should be. It's we are sharing the snapshot, so snapshot looks good. Description and terms of use we can also define. So this will appear when the data scientists accept our sent shares. So this is again optional. You can write anything to define your like you want to share the data with data engineer, data scientist. You can write it out, but let's leave as it is. Next is the data set. So here we can add our data set. As mentioned, there are tons of options where which data you want to share with the data scientist. Blob is the simplest one. SQL data base. There are a variety of flavors where you want to share. So let me quickly duplicate this tab And now let's create one storage account, because there is no storage account created. I'll quickly create one storage account and try to upload one like kind of dummy file which I want to share. So let's select Azure Blob Gen 2 standard. We want LRS. Let's review and create for simplicity. So let's click create. So our storage account is in progress for deployment. It will take some time, and we need to upload one dummy data, because here once I move into this step, it will ask me to browse. So here I need to select one storage account, because currently I haven't created any storage account where the data is residing and which needs to be shared with our data scientist. So that's why I'm currently created one storage account. Let's go to our resource, and here under data storage, let's go to containers. I'll create one container. So once we are done with the name, let's click on create. So once the container is created, let's go inside it and we'll upload one dummy file which needs to be shared with our data scientist. So let's say there is one analysis file. Definitely analysis file won't be in JSON format, but I'm just showing you for demo like what I want to share with our data scientist. So let me browse this file from my local computer and click on upload. So my file is there. Let's say this contains, you can upload CSV files or anything what needs to be analyzed by data scientists. So just for demo I have shown you. Let's select our storage account, Cloud Guru Amit Data Share. This is what we have created few moments back. Let's click on next, and here I got my container. This is the same container, right, which I created few moments back. Cloud Guru Amit container. Cloud Guru Amit container, I can double click on it, and here it's showing my JSON file which I just uploaded, which let's assume contains the dummy data which data scientist will analyze. Let's click on next, and here got the part. Let's add data set. So here I have successfully added what files needs to be shared. I can add multiple data set from different sources as well, not only limited to blob. You can mix and match as per your requirement as well. So once adding the data set, let's go to recipients. So here we need to add our recipient name or email, that is the email ID of the data scientist with whom we want to share our data, right, which resides in our storage account, that is in our container, in our blob. So we need to mention these data scientist name. For our demo, let's mention one name. Let's click on add recipient, and here let's put one email ID. Once we are done with the recipient email ID, click on continue. We can schedule the snapshot, the occurrence whenever you want, which I can do it hourly basis as well. So the start time, it will mention when you want to share the snapshot or the data, on what frequency. Let's click on continue, and let's click on create. So I'll get one email, whatever recipient mail you have mentioned. Data scientist will receive one mail. All right, the data scientist will receive similar mail with our share name, whatever data share name we have given, and your data scientist needs to view the invitation. Click on this button and then provide their Azure credentials, that is the login and the password. Then the prompt will be there for them, where they can receive the file. The prompts are easy. So that's how we can share the our files, analysis files, with the data scientist. So that's what it goes for this tutorial. We have done the hands-on end-to-end for creating data share. We have created fresh data share storage account as well, where our data resided, and we have shared our data with data scientist, where data scientist received the email which I have shown just a few moments back. Data scientist needs to log in to their using their Microsoft Azure credentials so as to receive the files which I have sent. Please note, data scientists need to use their credential, not your credential, right? Please do not share your credentials with anyone. It's confidential anyway. And we, as a data engineer, we shouldn't anyway share our credentials with anyone. Everyone should use their own credentials. So data scientist team, if especially they are from other vendors or other company, definitely by company rule also, you shouldn't share your credentials. So I hope you found this tutorial helpful. for data shares end-to-end concept. Thank you so much for watching this video, and in next video we'll be doing the same hands-on but without much headache using ARM templates. So let's go and check it out, our next tutorial on data shares. All right, let's look at this question. It's all about fastest query times. We'll first look at option A. A says create a date dimension table which has a date time key. Date time key are less efficient for indexing and querying compared to integer keys, therefore incorrect. Let's move to option B. B says extract data attributes by using built-in SQL functions. So this approach can be slower as it requires additional computations during query execution. So wrong answer. We are left with two options, that is option C says use integer columns for the date fields in the fact table using integer key in the format YYYMMDD allows for faster indexing and querying of date ranges. That is what we require. So this is one of the answers. Second is option D, that is for date fields use date time columns. Storing dates as integer in the fact table improves query performance by enabling efficient joins with the date dimension table. That being said, this is another correct answer. We'll log this. Alrighty, let's look at this question. We will look at option A. A says snapshot storage size. So snapshot storage size measures the size of the storage snapshots and does not relate to query performance or column store segments as required by the question. Let's move to option B. B says cache utilization percentage. Monitoring the cache used percentage helps determine if the cache is being fully utilized, which can impact query performance. So let's park this option because we need two matrix, right, as per the question. Let's move to option C. C says data warehouse units, DW units limits. DW limit measures the data warehouse unit limit but does not provide insights into column store segment performance as required by the question. Let's remove this. We'll move to option D. D says cache hit ratio. Monitoring the cache hit percentage helps identify how often the data is being retrieved from the cache, which affects query performance. That being said, it is another right answer. We'll lock option B and D as the correct answers. Let's bring the heat to this now. It's all about analyzing network system activity data for signs of malicious activities and policy violations. We'll look at option A. This is Azure SD Insight. Azure SD Insight supports Apache Spark. It requires more administrative effort as compared to Databricks if you look. So we need to choose the best option among this. So if you compare all this, for now SD Insight is not the least, does not provide the least administrative overhead compared to Databricks. On that ground, we'll reject option A. Let's move to option B. B says Azure Data Factory. So Data Factory is not designed for real-time analytics with Apache Spark because EDF is anyways a ETL tool, extract, transform, load, right? Let's remove this. We'll move to option C. C says Azure Data Lake Storage. Azure Data Lake Storage is a storage solution and does not provide analytic capabilities needed for intrusion detection data analysis as required by the question. We'll reject option C as well. Let's move to option D. D says Azure Databricks. So Databricks is, we know, fully managed Apache Spark based analytics platform that simplifies big data processing and analysis, minimizing administrative overhead or administrative efforts. That being said, option D is the right answer. And if you look here in the official documentation, it's mentioned the enhanced compute plane image includes an antivirus engine for detecting trojans, virus, malware, and other malicious threats. The antivirus monitor scans the entire host OS file system and the Databricks runtime container file system. So that's what is required. We'll lock option D, Databricks, as the right answer. Okay. So let's look at this question where we need to move blobs between access tiers and based on last access time. We'll look at option A. It says configure object replication. Object replication we know is used for replicating objects. As the name suggests, object replication means replicating objects across different regions, not for managing access tiers based on access time. So this is out. Let's move to option B. B says create an Azure application. Creating an Azure application is not related to lifecycle management or access time tracking. What is required by the question? Let's remove this. We'll move to option C. C says enable access time tracking. Looks good because enabling access time tracking will allow to track the access will allow to track the last access time of the blob, which is necessary for creating lifecycle management rules based on access time. So this can be the potential answer. Let's move to option D. D says enable the hierarchical namespace. So hierarchical namespace is used for organizing data in a hierarchical structure, as the name suggests, but it does not track access times. What's required by the question? On that ground, we'll reject option D and we'll lock option C as the correct answer. All right, now, so let's look at this question related to monthly audit of SQL statements that interact with sensitive data. We'll look at option A. A says workload management. Workload management is used for managing resource allocation and does not provide auditing capabilities. What's required by the question? Incorrect choice. Let's move to option B. B says sensitivity level. C says dynamic data masking. So sensitivity level and dynamic data masking does not provide again auditing of SQL statements. What's required by the question here? Therefore, wrong choice. We are left out with Microsoft Defender for SQL. So Microsoft Defender for SQL provides advanced threat protection and auditing capabilities, making it suitable for auditing SQL statements that affect sensitive data with minimal administrative effort. That being said, option D is the right answer. If you want the hands-on files along with the PDF including keyword tricks, then please enroll in Diamond membership or above by clicking the join button now. Then connect and inbox me on LinkedIn @ Cloud Guru Amit or Instagram @ Amit Physique. I'll be glad to help you out with the hands-on files as well as the PDF containing the keyword tricks, including the PDF version of this course.